Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Welcome to another exciting episode of The Expansion Project. I'm your host, Fat Tony. In this show, I have casual yet deep conversations with professional athletes, entrepreneurs, coaches, investors, and other successful people in hopes of expanding my mind and yours while motivating and inspiring people along the way. The words legend and icon get thrown out pretty casually these days, and as much as I think they're overused, my guest this week undeniably fits both of them. I had the chance to talk to none other than Dave Mirra. Even if you've never ridden BMX or don't know much about it, there's a good chance you've still heard Dave's name before. When it comes to BMX riders, he's the closest thing there is to a household name. The list of Dave's accolades could go on for days, but here's a small snippet of what he's accomplished in his 41 years. He has won 14 X Games gold medals. He's competed in both BMX and rally car racing at X Games. He was the first BMX rider ever to do a double backflip. He has won the Toyota Grand Prix celebrity race. He has multiple books written about him. He hosted TV shows like MTV's Real World Road Rules Challenge. He has multiple video games named and designed after him. He trained for and competed in an Ellis Mania boxing match against motocross rider Brian Deegan. He co-founded a BMX company. He has competed in triathlons and Ironmans. He and a team of 3 others won a race across America where they pedaled more than 3,000 miles from California to Maryland in just under 5.5 days. And as the list goes on, it doesn't look like Dave is slowing down anytime soon. He is a true elite athlete and a fierce competitor, but he is also a savvy investor and a great saver. And on top of that, he's a great guy, a husband, and a father of 2, and he owns 2 Yorkies. In this episode, I had so much to ask this childhood hero of mine that I opted to skip the chime-in segment and just keep the interview rolling. I didn't want to waste any time, and I wanted to get as much out of this conversation as possible. The interview is focused on 2 main topics, athletics and finance. I got to ask Dave about how he currently trains, eats, and recovers while focusing on triathlons, and I picked his brain about how he is wired for success when it comes to competition, whether that be BMX, endurance sports, racing cars, boxing, or anything else he sets his mind to. As the highest paid BMX rider in the history of the sport, Dave was able to shed some light on some of the financial success he's experienced over the years and gave some great insight on how he's learned to manage his money and what he's invested in. He even threw out some mind-blowing figures about some of the largest endorsement deals he's ever had. It is my extreme honor and pleasure to present to you guys the Dave Mirra interview. First of all, I want to welcome my guest, the man, the myth, the legend, none other than Dave Mirra. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So on this show, Dave, I want to talk about 2 main topics. First, we're going to talk about athletics and kind of the mindset of an athlete, and then we're going to talk about some of the business end of things. So we'll just jump right into it here. I've heard before that you said your retirement from BMX had a lot to do with the risk versus reward when it came to getting injured. Can you kind of elaborate on that? And obviously now you're in endurance sports, and there's definitely some inherent risk there as well. So kind of tell me how the risk in the sport that you're doing now is different.
Well, I mean, to be honest, the endurance sport, really kind of, it was something I went up to the Ironman Lake Placid and watched my buddy in 2012, and to be honest, I was like, this is awesome. The heart and the sacrifice every athlete does to be at this race, to me, was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, I said, this is something I'll never want to do. Not for the risk, like BMX. BMX is obviously, a lot of risk and, injuries that I've sustained. And I just, having kids and just didn't want to get on that road. I mean, I've lost the passion. The sport's changed. I did everything I could possibly do. Why hang around and milk the sport? People say that, I forgot my roots, all that good stuff. But then the same people that if I was still in the sport, making money, taking paychecks, I'd probably be considered selling out and milking the sport. So you really can't win. Mm-hmm. So I decided to choose and do exactly what I wanted to do. I did everything I could do in BMX. I don't think there was much more for me to do, to be honest.
Yeah.
And much more than I wanted to do. I think when I lost the passion, what's next? I mean, we all know that it's a dangerous sport, and injuries happen when you're not expecting it, when you're out just coasting around. And, I like to maintain a certain level, and obviously if I'm going to ride BMX, I want to maintain the level that I was at. Mm-hmm. And there's a price to pay. If you're going to maintain that level, I'd say there's a price to pay, especially if I'm not even into it. If I don't care to compete, or you know, and to be totally honest, the last contest that I did compete at was Ocean City, Maryland, 2011, and you know, I was riding with all the pros and all the young kids, man, and it was awesome. You know, they ride at my warehouse at that point, and you know, we had an awesome time. But you know, the thing that separated me from them at that point was I could see it in their eyes, man. They'll do whatever it takes to win. They'll die, just like I would when I was younger. You know, I would have died to win, and there came a point when I just didn't care anymore. And I'm a true believer that if you're not fully committed, how can you be successful? So me walking away was just like, you know what, dude, I got to find something else. I mean, I just, you know, I'm like, you know, it's a big decision to leave something that I've done my whole life. I mean, was it as cool as I thought it was when I got to the top? Maybe not. People treat you a little bit different, and it's not what I got into it for. The things that come along with success, it's tricky. It's a very, very tricky combination. You know, it's like they say, don't mix business and pleasure, right? Right. That's exactly what I did, right? So BMX as a kid was exactly what I loved to do. You know, that's what I died for. You know, anything, risking it, and people can say that. You know, I mean, it's funny the opinions that start to form over the years, and it trips me out. You know, so it's a bittersweet. You know, to be honest, I mean, to leave.
So let's talk about the risk of injury now that you're in endurance sports. Then. You know, it's not the same kind of injury. Like, you're not going to slam on a spine on a flip whip like you did in Ocean City or whatever. But, you know, when you're going these long distances, you know, whether it be on a bike and you have a crazy crash going super fast, or just kind of the long-term injuries, is that something you think about now as you're doing these endurance sports?
Not really. You know, endurance, I mean, honestly, it's I don't consider it risky. I mean, yeah, there's a worst-case scenario. Yeah, you can eat it, and on a big descend, yeah, you can get pretty messed up. That's not the thing. I think what I love and what I hate about it is that these are the gnarliest trained athletes I've ever seen in my life. Ironmen, people, the pros, the age groupers. I mean, I think it's unbelievable. And you know, I love it, but I also hate it. It's like it's tough. I mean, I used to ride BMX and kind of do what I wanted. You know, train when you want. And now it's a whole other ball game. You got to be consistent, and if you're not consistent, you're not fast. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
So talking about that mental aspect of it, and you're talking about how just mentally tough these guys are and stuff. You know, I think you obviously had a crazy mental game when it came to BMX, and I'm sure that carries over, and it's such a big part of what you're doing. Do you know where that came from as far as how you learned that mental game? Did you educate yourself? I know I talked to Daniel Dares on a podcast recently, and he actually talked about reading psychology books and really studying an athlete's mindset. Did you do anything like that, or do you think that was more ingrained in you?
You know, I think that where I came from was a place and a family that, you know, if you can't survive, or should I say, if you pick something, you got to make money, you got to make a living. There's no easy way out. So this is kind of a funny story. Like Ken Block was in the gym at one of the rallies, doing this workout where he was catching a ball and doing mathematical problems while he was working out. And I said, "Wow, Ken, I've been doing that for years, man. I mean, I'll be in the air in the middle of a 540 going, man, if I can win this contest, that's $200. Oh my God, that's rent." You know, so I mean, I did all that. Like, I think that I was willing to die. I mean, you know, what trips me up with anything is that I used to drive across the country at 17 years old, no cell phone, no credit card, and just get in my car at 11 at night and say, "Dad, I'm going to go out to Hoffman's and Oklahoma City and go ride for a week. I'll be back." Or I'd go to McCoy's, or you know, basically my heroes, you know. And it was pretty crazy to think that's what I did to be successful. Yeah. I think that the way to do it now is obviously a lot different, but it trips me out. Like, I have daughters. I'm like, dude, I couldn't imagine Maddie and Kenzie going, "Dad, we're going to take off. We're going to drive out to California. No credit card, no cell phone. We'll probably, when we get there, you know, I sleep on the side of the road." All for nothing. I mean, I didn't start making money until 1994. And that was after 2 years of being pro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my first year in 92 being pro, Matt never lost a contest for 3.5 years. I came in and beat Matt twice my first rookie year. I mean, it was huge. This was when it was all starting, but there was no, it was a dream, but there was no reward yet. There was no money. I mean, it was nuts. It was like, you're still doing fair shows and you're living on $15 a day for food. It's tricky. I mean, it was a very, very tricky time, but that was the difference. It's like, yeah, there's one thing about committing to being the best BMXer, but then there's the part of, I mean, how far can I go till I go, dude, I just can't do it. I can't commit. I got to make money. I got to get a job. So it was a very trippy, I think a pretty crazy path. And I don't think that, I mean, I'll be honest, if I had to retrace my steps, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like you're saying some of that determination that was kind of almost out of necessity, of like you needed to succeed even to just survive. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Almost in a sense where I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm gonna will it. I'm gonna make it happen. And you know, despite there wasn't BMX contests on TV. There wasn't any opportunity to be successful. Maybe you'd ride for a bike company and make a couple grand a month. But I was willing to do it. I was willing to make $30,000 a year or less just to do what I've always wanted. I mean, I saw these guys come out to, you know, Brian Blather, Wilkerson, Marie, all these guys, you know, come out and do shows. And these guys are from California. This is the coolest thing in the world from a standpoint from mine. You know, a young kid from upstate New York watching these guys. I mean, I want to be just like them. So it was like, what will I do?
Yeah.
To be like them, you know?
Yeah. So you would say some of your determination and that just like drive to not stop came from the fact that you just wanted to be in that spotlight or in that, you know, in the same tier as your idols and stuff, which I've actually heard Terry Adams say something really similar, is that, you know, he wanted to be pro, he wanted to be in the magazines, and that's all it took was like him wanting that so bad that he would just do anything it took to progress to that level.
You know what? I got to give a lot of credit to Wilkerson, to like, you know, the guys before me, the guys that don't even get a lot of credit right now, I feel like. Those guys made BMX look amazing. So I wanted to be just like them. Dennis McCoy, Dominguez, Dwight, I mean, the list goes on. But those guys promoted it and made it look awesome. They were superstars, and I wanted to be a superstar. But like them, I didn't just want to be any superstar. I wanted to be a BMX superstar, I guess. I don't know. It was like I was saying, I want to be a superstar. I just wanted to ride with these guys. I mean, when I would go to an AFA contest, I wouldn't go up and be like, hey, can I get an autograph? I'd say I would just cruise up and start talking to them and ride with them. My goal was just to ride with the guys. I didn't want autographs. I wanted to ride with these dudes and just learn about the sport. Like, you know, I was like, you know, amazed. And then, you know, the Plywood Hoods, Mark Eaton, Kevin Jones, those guys started inviting me to come down and stay in York, you know, and for me to get on there when I was 14 for 2 weeks and just go ride with these guys, and I'm like, man, you know, it really got me out of where I'm from. I mean, you know, some people never leave where I'm from.
Yeah,
so
yeah, for sure.
It was pretty sick to have the opportunity and people to look at you and go, man, you're amazing. And I was just a kid that learned tricks from the magazine. You know, you see a how-to, and there wasn't really a lot of videos back then.
Right.
Very few, but not like today, that's for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of this mindset again. Since I've been doing CrossFit, I've learned a little bit about, you know, kind of how to control your breath and how to stay mentally calm. And I've recently been looking into meditation a little bit more. So I'm wondering if you meditate, because I've seen you stay very calm in a BMX situation where, you know, you're the last run in the finals or whatever, and you keep it calm and you pull it together and you win. I've seen videos of you in a rally car where, you know, you're going super fast, you've got cars bumping into you, you're going over jumps and stuff, and you look really calm in the car. I've seen you box Brian Deegan in you know, a crazy fighting match, and you stay calm. How have you learned to keep your mind calm during all these stressful and hectic situations?
Man, I guess one of my philosophies is you do the homework, the test is easy. And, you know, the ultimate was fighting Brian Deegan, you know, going in there and saying, well, if he's going to beat me, he better be real good. Because I know I did all my work. And it's like, I mean, there's being confident and there's being overconfident. I think that confidence is ideal to success, but then there's overconfident people that just don't want to do the work, and they just have they talk a lot, you know, and you can see that. And I'm not one of those people. I don't, you know, if you remember BMX, I didn't go on there bragging about how I'm going to win X Games every year. I'd be pretty humble about it and go in there and you know, we're like, I never claimed I would. I would just give it my best shot. I'd be at the ramp at 7 in the morning and look at the ramp and plan everything and just, you know, the way I would say it is like, hey, if I'm nervous, then I know they are too. Mm-hmm. You know what? Now that you know that, adjust yourself accordingly and you know, accept the challenge, you know?
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest things is that we know we're all nervous. But if you acknowledge that, then all of a sudden you're less nervous because now you already acknowledge the fact that you know they're nervous, whether they act like it or not. You know they are. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So just be smart, you know. Make good choices, you know, just especially, you know, in BMX, you know, on the fly. You know, you got to make these choices on the fly all the time, you know.
Right. So have you ever actually meditated? Have you used that as a way to learn to control your thinking or your breath or anything?
I really haven't, you know, no. To be honest. I'm not really, I mean, I foam roll and I stretch a little bit, but, you know, I don't know, man. I'm not really I guess I just, you know, when I go out and run, like I just ran 20 yesterday, and it's like, enjoy the process. I guess I do my meditating when I'm working out, I guess.
Right. Okay, cool.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
you know,
for
I mean,
sure.
It's like, there's times I'm hurting. When you're running a long distance, it starts to hurt.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, well, what's hurting? Okay, my leg's cramping. Okay, your leg's hurting, but it really isn't hurting. Mm-hmm. It just hurts. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you just enjoy the process, how rad is it, though, to enjoy it? And you know what you're dealing with, and then just try to stay calm.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I guess that's the big thing, is just, you know, breathing hard. You know, a lot of the intervals that I do, you know, threshold or any of the tempo stuff, I mean, there's some stuff like, so my ride on Saturday was 100 miles, 103 miles with some pretty gnarly intervals. Mm-hmm. But what do? You got to relax. To find more power is relaxing. Mm-hmm. You ever notice when you're tense, probably when you're doing CrossFit, if you get tense, you don't have the flexibility. Your body won't do what you want it to do. But if you loosen up and relax, you can be stronger.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Heart rate goes down and your power goes up just by relaxing.
Right.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that the human body, what fascinated me is when I first got into the sport, I started running, and my coach goes, dude, you got to run 140 beats per minute, okay? That, for me, was a 10:55-minute pace. That's slow. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, trust me, just keep doing it. 2 months later, I'm running an 8-minute pace at 140 beats, and now I'm more efficient, and I'm running the same speed, but less effort. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So these pros are just machines, man. And they've worked over the years to create this engine they have that in BMX we knew nothing about, you know. Yeah. It was about skill set, go rip, do your thing. But I'm just amazed on it's body science, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find it interesting that you're really into the science aspect of things, of, you know, monitoring your heart rate and doing things kind of by a specific program. And on that topic, can you explain or shed some light on what kind of coaches you're using now? So, you know, you're doing running, bike riding, and swimming. Do you have coaches for each, or do you just have one coach? Explain how that breakdown looks like.
I have one coach that's a professional coach. He coaches some of the top professional triathletes. And I met him when I was out in Kona watching my buddy compete. And I'll tell you what, he's awesome. And the way he is kind of like, you know, designs these workouts is that, you know, recovery, rest, work hard, intensity, easy. He's amazing. And he makes me understand it. Mm-hmm. You know, when you go hard, you go hard. When you go easy, you go easy. Don't stay in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, some people never go really hard and some people never go really easy. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you never really get your benefits of your workout, right?
Yeah. So is he working remotely with you through phone calls and emails and stuff, or is he on site with you certain days a week?
Yeah, we'll talk usually once a week, and I have a big training piece planned, so it's always right there. Like, I can look at it and see what I got coming up this week.
Gotcha.
It's sick. I mean, and you know what's crazy? I mean, this week I'll train 21 hours, and that may sound not like a lot, but 21 hours is ridiculous.
That sounds like a lot to me, man. I don't know who you're talking to. That's not a lot to them, but fuck, to me it sounds like a lot.
Yeah, dude, 20. I mean, I'm just like, I trip because I'm like, dude, you think like people go, yeah, I worked 60 hours this week. I'm like, man, I may only train 20, but dude, 20 is like, it's gnarly, man. But I love it. Like, it's a love-hate. Like, sometimes I go, dude, why am I even doing this? I don't need to be doing this. Mm-hmm. But I love it. There's a part of me that just still trying to figure out how to be good at it, you know, and will I ever be great at it? Nah. My goals are not to be ever turn professional, ever be anything special. I love just getting in the ditches with age group athletes and just doing what they do. And I want to qualify for Kona.
So when you have those thoughts, like, you know, say you're running 20 miles and you have those thoughts of why am I doing this? What is it that keeps you going after those thoughts pop in your head? Is there anything in particular, or does it vary day to day? And I'll just give you an example. For me, like, there's definitely CrossFit workouts when I'm in the middle of the workout thinking, like, why am I doing this? I want to quit. Like, it's not a big deal if I just stop right now and quit the workout. And, you know, there's been times when my niece pops in my head and I'm like, you know what? I want to, you know, prove to my niece that, you know, you can stay strong and push through things. And I'll never probably tell her that necessarily, and she'll never know about that workout. But it's just a mental cue for me to just keep pushing. Other times it's just, you know, telling myself, shut the hell up and keep moving. Or, you know, if you can move for 5 more seconds, then you can move for another 5 more seconds. So what kind of things keep you pushing like that?
You know, I think it's what you feel like when you're done. Mm-hmm. You got bragging rights. If you're on 20 miles, you can brag. Mm-hmm. You know, if you don't, you can talk about something else that nobody's really interested in, you know? Yeah. But people, I love inspiring people. I love the way they look at you when they're like, dude, yeah, do this. And they're like, dude. But I'm just a human being. I just put the work in like everybody else that does it. But the people that don't just go, dude, you are amazing. Like, that's sick. There's a lot of BMXers that follow me that are older, that have kids now, that need something, that gain weight, they're a dad, and now they follow me and they're like, dude, you inspired me. I just love you as a BMXer. Now it's like, dude, thanks for introducing me to this. Sick. Like, I needed this.
Yeah. It's funny. I actually know a flatland guy. Shout out to Prashil up in Canada. He actually says that you inspired him. He's training for marathons and trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon and stuff. Same kind of thing. You know? Started out as a flatland rider, and now he's gotten into running and stuff, and looks to you for inspiration. And you know, I can relate to that myself on a very micro scale, obviously, but you know, being in BMX and kind of working as a photographer and stuff, people used to, you know, sort of look up to me as a photographer. And now I'm still doing that a little bit, but now I have other people saying like, oh, dude, because of your Instagram post, I changed to a vegan diet and lost 100 pounds, you know? Yep. And that kind of stuff just really keeps you going.
I think that's part of the reason why I keep doing it, because like I said, Tony, I don't know if you knew this, but, you know, when I turned 40 last year, I quit everything. Every sponsor, my agent, everything that I had from my first life sentence, what I call it. Mm-hmm. I haven't collected a paycheck in over a year. I'm living off savings. We'll see how it goes. We'll see where it takes me. Yeah. No guarantees. But I just said, you know what, dude, I don't want any more poison. Mm-hmm. I'm done. I've had relationships. I've had shitty ones. I've had good sponsors. I've had, you know, top paying stuff. But I said, you know, I don't want it anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't want that stuff. I was with CS and lost some groups since 1999, 2000. I called them and said, dude, I'm out, man. I made an Instagram post and left Puma. They were paying me for a training deal, but I wasn't a priority, and they weren't really looking out for me that well. So I said, you know what, man, guys, I'm out. And I said, man, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing deals that I don't like. Yeah. I said, you know what, man, I got 2 life sentences with a man upstairs. That's an 80-year deal. If I can't, I wanted to start my second 40 years fresh. Mm-hmm. No baggage. And I said, you know what, if I can't figure it out, I got more to start with this time around than I did the first time. If I can't figure it out, then I got a problem. Yeah. So there was my ultimate challenge right there, is to say, I'm not gonna just do something because I can get paid and be quiet and just do it. I said, nah, I'm gonna go for it. Yeah. And that's it.
That's awesome.
And that was my ultimate challenge. So it just kind of goes along with triathlon too. I said, man, and you know, to be honest, in the tri world, I've met so many people. I've been out there. Dude, I qualified for the 70.3 World Championships last year. They've offered and said, if you don't qualify, would you still want to race? And I said, nah, I want to qualify. And I know a lot of people respect me for that. And I know that if I didn't qualify, I wouldn't want to be there. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's their stage. They've worked hard. All these athletes do their nuts. And I go, for me to just come in there and get a free spot, are you shitting me?
Yeah.
I ain't doing it. Like, I'm able to make it. So let's see what I got, you know? So it's just a cool, like, life challenge, I guess, you know, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very respectable indeed, because you could easily just grab that spot and run with it, you know. But, hey, I have a random question here that I'm going to throw in. So I've heard when you were in BMX and stuff, you kind of had these idiosyncrasies of, you know, putting on your pads in a certain order, or kind of like a ritual for when you prepare to ride or compete.
Yep.
Do you mind kind of going over some of that? And more so, do you have any of that now with your triathlon stuff or with your current training? Are you still, you know, very methodical about the things that you do and stuff?
You know what? In BMX, I always put my left side on first. Left to right, left to right. I'd always go like that. Left knee pad, right knee pad, left elbow. You know, I always did that because I don't know why. I just wanted to be consistent as I did with my riding. Mm-hmm. So if you're consistent with the way you prepare, then maybe you're consistent with the way you ride. Mm-hmm. Did I really structure that out and think that up and say that's why I do it? No, I just did it. Mm-hmm. And I always did it. And if I didn't do it right, I would take them off and redo it. You know, because that's how I was. I just said, man, I want to make sure that this is a great day. Mm-hmm. And that what better than, you know, if you're together before you get on the bike, hopefully you're together when you get on it, you know?
Yeah. So have you done anything like that now with your tri training or anything?
No, not that I think of. No, I really don't. You know, new life, new deal, I guess.
New patterns.
I don't have any.
Okay, cool. So another question. What do you do with your awards and medals? Are you a kind of person that sort of displays them and sort of looks at them for motivation or inspiration, or do you kind of put them away and just say, you know, that stuff's behind me and I'm just going to look towards tomorrow?
Yeah, I haven't. You know, all my medals they're in a bag in the closet.
Okay.
I really don't keep them out at all. I think the coolest thing was when my 8-year-old daughter asked if she could bring my medals and couple gold medals and a helmet to school for show and tell. Mm-hmm. I think that meant more to me than actually winning them, which is pretty crazy. You never thought there's more than just a reason to win them. It's mm-hmm. just because you win them. It's because look what I got to do.
Yeah. And
then my daughter, and she took them to school, and she was pumped. You know, I mean, that's a way bigger reason. So that almost goes back to what we talked about earlier. Why do we do these things? Mm-hmm. I think you just never know who you're going to inspire. So that's kind of how that made me learn a lot and go, man, that's pretty sick. That felt better than when I won the things.
How old are your daughters now?
And I never thought that. 7 and 8.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really cool that they kind of, have learned to appreciate that, and, you know, obviously they're really proud of you and stuff, and that's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. The way they look at me, and they see me work hard all the time. And I joke now because I'm trying to qualify for Kona, and I'm like, hey guys, like if I got to do a short run in the neighborhood, like 4 miles or something, you know, they'll ride with me, and like Maddie will carry a water bottle, and if I need, you know, drinks, she can hand it to me, and I'm always joking with them now, going, hey man, if you guys don't help me train, and I'm taking your guys' names off the list when I thank everybody in Kona on the podium. And they just start laughing, you know. I'm like, okay, your name's coming off. You don't come and help me.
Oh, that's awesome,
like, okay, man. Dad, whatever, dude.
So you talked about your coach kind of has your program all laid out for you, so every day you can just look up and you know what your workout's going to be. Can you give me a breakdown of, you know, just a few examples of what those workouts might look like? Is it, you know, structured with, you know, a couple of different disciplines per day, or is it only swimming one day, only riding one day? Give me a few examples of your workouts.
Usually two sports a day, sometimes 3. But like we'll say a big day. For instance, Saturday I'll do a 5-hour and 15-minute bike ride. Okay. And then a 40-minute run off the bike. So when you get back to the house, changing your shoes, and go for your run off the bike. And then Sunday will be I'll run 20 miles in the morning, and I'll probably do a short swim, because that'll be a pretty big day. But like, say Wednesday, I'll do an hour and 15-minute run with a couple intervals in the morning. I'll do an hour swim, and then another 20-minute run late in the day. I think another day, 3-hour bike, 20-minute run off the bike, and then an hour swim.
And you were talking about intervals and stuff on the bike. So is there a lot of that where, you know, you are scheduled to ride a certain amount of time or a certain distance, and within that time period or distance, you have all those intervals scheduled in there as well?
Yeah, like for instance, like this is going to be gnarly. For instance, on Sunday or Saturday, I'll do a 50-minute warm-up around 200 watts, 180 to 200 watts. So it's not super easy, but it's a warm-up. Mm-hmm. And then you've got me doing 4 by 45 minutes at 240 to 260 watts. That's going like anywhere from 24 to 26 miles an hour.
Wow. And where do you have to ride this far and this fast in your area that is just that wide open without stopping at traffic lights or all that kind of stuff?
Man, I'm straight out in the country, so it's like I can go out my door and I'm straight wherever I need to go, point and shoot, and especially during the day, man, there's no traffic really. I mean, you start riding in the afternoon or 5 o'clock, you start to get a little sketchy, man.
Okay.
People are trying to get to where they want to go, and I mean, I don't like it. I have the opportunity to ride during the day a lot, so I will. And one of the biggest things, Tony, is this: I know when CrossFit and you guys push each other, you work off each other, dude. This sport is just pretty much, it's straight up riding alone. I mean, it's pretty much you do shit alone.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of hard to run with somebody when you all have different workouts. It's hard to ride with somebody when you have different workouts. And, swim is swim. So it's a crazy sport because you really don't get a lot of, I mean, you try to plan rides with people and shit, but it's almost a joke.
Yeah.
It almost ends up being not fun because you're like, okay, well, clearly I can't, they can't keep up. And you feel like you're babysitting, and then you don't get what you need to do. So now all of a sudden, either you're given or they're given.
Mm-hmm. How many days a week, if any, do you take as a full rest day where you don't, train at all?
Man, it's 7 days a week.
Really?
Today, I had an option to take today off because of 20-mile run yesterday. Mm-hmm. But he gave me an optional swim, so I went and swam, 1,400 yards. Mm-hmm. So, short swim, but swimming it really does help your body. I mean, it feels awesome when you swim. And
you've got a lake in your backyard that you train in, is that correct?
I do, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty sick.
That's cool. Was that planned out in the beginning? You said you never thought you'd be doing this, so I imagine the lake came first and just happened as a pretty good side effect, right?
Yeah, when I bought the house, then I had a lake, and I was like, oh, cool, I can do stand-up paddleboarding on it. Now I'm like, you kidding me? It's sick. I mean, you can swim a mile loop at no problem.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's pretty rad.
So how about your actual sleep schedule then? I know, like I said, from doing CrossFit, I've come to learn how important sleep is to your recovery. So is that something you really focus on and plan in with your training routine and stuff?
You know what? I mean, I'm learning the hard way, coming from BMX and recovery and all that. I mean, I'm learning slowly but surely that you got to get to bed early. You can't be drinking too much wine if you got to run 20 miles the next day. You can't go out with your buddies. And I still go out with buddies once in a while, not much anymore. With the family and everything. But I'm learning slowly that you got to hydrate and prepare the night before. You can't just wing it, especially when you start getting to the higher mileage. It's one thing winging it when you have a 10-mile run, but when you're getting into like the upper teens, it's starting to, you gotta prepare.
Yeah.
There's just no other way around it.
What does your nutrition look like these days?
I'm not real, I'm not super, I mean, I love the vegan thing. I just don't do it. If it was more convenient, I would do it. Like my wife was making vegan stuff for a while. Mm-hmm. And I love it. Dude, feed me, I'll eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is, like, I eat a lot of fish and, I'll eat steak. I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, I'm not like I'll eat whatever, I guess. But it's like, I'm not like, man, I'll never be a vegan. Mm-hmm. 'Cause I totally would. Some of the meals were amazing.
Yeah. Do you feel like
I told my wife.
So do you do like meal prep stuff and really plan out like kind of purpose-driven foods for your workouts, or do you just pound down whatever? Because I mean, you're moving so much and doing so much that it seems like you're probably just burning off anything you intake anyway. I mean, is that kind of the gist of it right now?
Dude. I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, like think about it. Like my 4.5 hour bike ride was like 3,300 calories. Mm-hmm. I mean, I went from like no veins in your around your stomach to having veins after this weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can pretty much with this sport and running I mean, dude, you run for 2 hours. You look different when you're done.
Yeah, for sure.
It is pretty crazy how that is. So yeah, I mean, I can pretty much eat whatever I want, and not saying that that's a great thing, because it'd be, obviously the better you eat, the better you fuel, the better everything is. But yeah, I kind of haven't quite graduated to being like that. But then again, I may have to if I want to qualify or be good in this sport. Yeah, I think you pretty much have to. I mean, this sport's gnarly. I mean, and you see the gnarliest people, they're ripped, and it's like one thing I love, man, is that women, dude, are just tough. Men are macho, women are like locomotives, man.
Yeah.
Men are like Amtrak. I say men are like Amtrak. They go fast a little bit and then blow up. And women are like locomotives. They just keep on trucking, man. I mean, it's amazing.
I think I read somewhere that after your race across America, the more than 3,000-mile bike ride, did you lose 12 pounds on that ride? Is that what I read?
I don't know if I lost 12, but I was low 140s, though.
Wow.
Like after that, I was like when I try to race, like right now I'm around 150, depending on the day. I like to race, dude, especially when you start doing the math, man. Like when you're running and shit, dude, if you're not light, you're just carrying around. Put an extra 5-pound dumbbell on you, and go run. I mean, it's just, you don't want it. It's pointless. So I don't know. I love it for the fact that you just, you could pretty much, you really can eat whatever you want. Performance may vary, but I think in weight, you're not going to hold anything up.
Yeah. So I'm going to switch gears here now. So we talked a lot about athletics and your training and your mindset and stuff. Now I'd like to talk to you about business more, and with business, kind of investing and other financial things. So with this, I want to start off by saying, I never want to seem like I'm being nosy, and I always want to respect your boundaries. So anything you're not comfortable talking about, obviously just don't mention it. But when I talk to successful people about money, it makes me motivated and helps me realize what's possible. Because if just like, a double backflip, if you've never seen it done, you think it's impossible. But once you see you do it, then other riders start to do it. So the same thing applies to money with me, is that when I hear people's success stories with their money and finances and investing and stuff, it just makes me, realize what out there is possible. And I think in our society, to me, I feel like not enough people actually talk about money. And I think this is a problem, because if you're not talking about it, you're not learning about it. And if you're not learning about it, you can't manage it. And then that's when problems happen. You go into debt, you're working your whole life. Do you kind of agree with that more people should be talking about this subject?
I've never been worried about talking about my deals. It's never bothered me. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. People think it's bragging. People think I know the old school mentality, but you don't talk about it. Was it because you're bragging, or because you just don't want people to know how little you make? What is it? I don't know. I don't really care. I never did, because if I can help somebody else make more money, awesome. I think the biggest thing when you talk about investing and making decisions to be more successful or more money based on what you make, I think the tricky thing is, Tony, is that if I ever went broke, it wouldn't be because I wasted my money on nice cars. It was because I listened to people telling me what to do with my money, whether you felt comfortable or not, and you didn't make the return on your investment what you claimed you were supposed to make. Yeah. I've done real estate here in Greenville, and an office building was pretty big, and honestly, in a perfect world, yeah, it'd be my retirement plan. It's 22,000 square feet, dentist office, Transamerica. We just got Affleck come in, but it's been half empty for 10 years. So when you got a building half empty, it's not making any money. And I'm not a real estate agent to get people in there and realize parking and all these little things that what makes a lease. You don't know these things. So I had no business even doing it. And what's funny is I had a gut feeling too. When I was buying that building, my gut told me, don't do it, dude. Don't do it. Don't. But, you're supposed to do this to keep your money places. That's how you make money. Honestly, if the building's paid off and it's fully rented out, it'll bring in probably $300 a year profit. Okay, so that's good money, right? You can live off that all day long. But to get to there, it's not as easy as it seems, especially with the way that the whole market collapsed, flips upside down on the real estate. Yeah. Now banks want to give money away for nothing. Now people are building their own buildings. So now you get a whole nother something that doesn't work out in your favor. Before it was like all the values went down, the economy's beat, nobody can do anything. Now that they can do something, they're not going to rent your place. They're going to build their own. It's like the town's still growing. And it's like I don't know, man. That probably stresses me out the most. But I just partnered up with a friend of mine who's a really like big real estate guy around here. Mm-hmm. So I basically gave him half the building to come in and manage it and lease it out and get all the stuff dialed. Nice. So I gave up a shitload of equity. So yeah, it's great. It'll just take me a lot longer to get my money back. Right. But you know what? I'm willing to do that. So I basically had to give up some pretty valuable money to make this thing even work. So I said, you know what? It sucks, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, half of a good thing is still better than all of nothing, right?
Yep.
So with that said, let's talk a little bit more about kind of your current investment portfolio. So you've got the real estate. I'm curious, over the years, and let's just set the stage. So over the years, you made a lot of money in BMX. You had some of the biggest deals, and so you were making enough money to be able to invest in whether it be real estate or whatever. So I don't know. We can go a bunch of different directions with this, but some of the things I'm curious about are, where did you sort of learn to manage the money, and did you have people helping you manage it or invest it in other places? Did you stop with just, one commercial real estate deal, or did you start with other residential real estate? Have you gone to, stocks and mutual funds and things like that? I know that's a lot to throw at you at once, but, I'm real curious about a lot of things, I guess.
You know what? I was always a saver, man. When I was a kid, I always saved my money, man. That's one thing that I always did. Mm-hmm. So when I bought nice things, I paid cash. I never financed anything that was a nice car. I got cars because I wanted them. Mm-hmm. Hindsight, we could all go back and say, what a waste, stupid, shouldn't have done it. Whatever. I got to live something, was pretty awesome. But I think the main thing was that, my dad always told me, if you can pay cash, you can afford it. If you don't pay cash. So I really stayed out of debt, which was probably the smartest thing. Mm-hmm. It just didn't get into debt. Houses and, bought a lot of, different style houses and just tried to rent stuff, duplexes, did stuff like that, but found little success, to be honest, in that stuff. Mm-hmm. Very tricky, mm-hmm. To manage. And I mean, dude, I'm an athlete. I'm not a property management guy. So it makes no sense. You start to go, wait a minute, why am I doing this again? Like, I can make easy money riding a BMX bike. Why would I want to? Not easy money, but that was my bread and butter. Right. Don't try to mess with the system until you have to. Mm-hmm. I would tell any young kid that now. I would say, dude, listen, if you want to invest your money, put it in the most easiest, like what's the word I'm looking for? Really just the safest bet you can think of. Mm-hmm. I would say just put it in the safest bet, no stress, make your real money, and then you can come back and educate yourself and do this. That's what I would have done. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wish I didn't listen to people that say, yeah, oh, this is what you do. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, you just do this, flip it, bam, boom. Next thing you know, you're making more money. Yeah, I love it, dude. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got the answer, but then, you can't control what's actually really happening. Yeah. And I think that just goes along with, I think that goes along with the idea that you just need to do what you're actually going to do, right? I mean, the best workout program in the world isn't going to be the best thing if you're not actually going to do it. So the same thing with investments where, when I started out, real estate to me made sense. So now I've got, 5 rental properties. And to me, I get it and I'm comfortable with it. And I don't mind kind of doing the research and educating myself and being hands-on involved with it. The stock market, on the other hand, is something that I never found interesting, so I never researched it. I never educated myself on it. So the couple times I kind of dabbled in stocks, I ended up losing money. And it just goes to show, if it's not your thing, then stay away from it. Like, leave it to somebody else, Yeah, exactly. Don't try to make if you're not investing in the market, you're not losing money if you didn't do it. Don't ever think you're losing money by not taking a chance. It's like you're going to lose money by making the wrong decision, and that's what stinks. Mm-hmm. And that's just how it works, man. I mean, it's sad because I think a lot of people get misguided, ripped off. We all know how the system seems to work. Yeah. It's sad.
So did you have people that were obviously you had people kind of telling you what to do because you just kind of mentioned that, but who were these people? And, have you partnered with anybody recently, maybe a financial manager or wealth advisor of some sort to help you, position your money better?
You know what? Actually, it's funny you say that. I did. I went with my first triathlon coach. He manages his dad's office. Actually, him and his brother are taking it over in Syracuse, Morgan Stanley. So I took all my money out of Bank of America, U.S. Trust, here in Raleigh, and I put it up there with him.
Cool. So he's now just managing and doing what, like mutual funds and stocks and stuff for you?
Yep, doing everything for me, and he's killing it.
Awesome.
Beat
That's
all
cool.
the percentages, everything across the board. He beat everything, and I trust him. And the way he talked to me about it was all. It wasn't like I'm sitting there going, "Okay, cool, we almost done yet. Thanks, yep. Okay, have a good day." He actually sat there and like explained it, and I liked it. I was interested for once.
Yeah.
And it was rad. Like,
that's cool.
So how cool is that? So I met some really cool people in triathlon. It's pretty rad.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually, so I kind of have a financial mentor of mine that is a good friend's dad who owns a wealth management company. And he's been helping me out with a lot of things over the year. Actually, one of the first pieces of advice he ever gave me was to track your net worth. So I'm just going to put that out there to anybody listening. If you want to get better with your finances, number one rule is start tracking your net worth quarterly. But with that said, he's actually recently helped me learn the basics of, managing the mutual fund market or navigating it, I should say, and helped me figure out where to put some money. Because I got to the point where I was like, okay, I've got the rental properties. Now I've got some extra cash that I want to put into the market. But, it's not enough to really turn it over to a professional yet. So what do I do until then, And so he's working with me to work with my IRA and my old 401k from when I had an employee. And he's really helped me figure out that mutual fund world. It's been super beneficial. And I think, like I said, because I'm not super interested in it, once I figure out the basics and get to a point where I can turn it over to somebody, I'm going to be more than willing to turn it over to somebody. But at least I've learned the basics ahead of time so that I'm kind of protected from, like you said, those people that want to give you the bad advice or just, that you can't trust or whatever.
And that's a good idea. I know that's one thing I never did. I just kind of winged it, and it's those are things you learn. I mean, did I lose a lot to it? I don't know. I hope not, but I'm sure somewhere along the line,
So
it's scary.
I did a podcast with both Daniel Dares and Mike Spinner, and both of them said they had looked up to you and had gotten good advice from you when it came to their money. And it sounds kind of like exactly what you're saying right now is, basically save your money, don't follow dumb advice, Do you specifically remember any conversation with them or any advice that you gave them or maybe other advice that you've given riders that are kind of on the come up and are starting to make some good money and stuff?
I think it was pretty similar to what we just talked about, man. It's just be smart, man. Don't trust everybody. Just, less is more, really. If you don't feel good about it, I mean, pretty much what I said. I didn't do anything drastic, but they were my friends, and I just, tried to just tell them that, hey, listen, man, not everybody's your friend, and they're not going to look out for you.
Yeah.
Do things you're comfortable with,
One of the things that I kind of thought about as I was, formulating some interview questions for you was that at your peak in BMX, you didn't have any peers. Like when it came to money and stuff, like, Dares and Spinner, they had you to sort of look up to or to ask questions for, and other riders now have, guys that are kind of on a similar playing field. But you were making more money than anybody else, and so you didn't have anybody to go to with these kind of questions probably. I mean, is that right?
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
McCoy didn't make the same, but McCoy's very, very smart. So I would always kind of bounce things off him a lot,
Yeah. So when you were really young, before you actually started to make money, did your parents kind of teach you about saving, or was that sort of something you picked up somewhere else? Where did that come from?
My dad, was a TV VCR repairman, and my mom, was always putting us in the check for check, So my dad was just always the one that said, Dave, if you can pay cash, you can afford it. He was pretty tight with money. I mean, I bought every bike I had, and he bought me the first bike ever. Was when I got a bike as a kid, and then I worked for everything else. So I learned that if you want it, you got to work and you got to save. You can't just, I didn't have credit cards till I was in my 20s.
Yeah. So let's talk about, if you don't mind, some of your endorsement deals that you had over the year. And like I said, I don't want to get nosy or anything, but I think this is something that, especially in BMX, like you said, a lot of people don't talk about this. Are you willing to divulge any numbers on some of the deals that you had over the years?
Yeah, didn't bother me one bit.
So I heard somewhere Slim Jim and T-Mobile were pretty big deals. Maybe you can just sort of rattle off some numbers just so we can sort of have a baseline of where you're coming from in this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, Slim Jim, Monster, T-Mobile, all around 400s.
So that's $400,000 a year for, I would assume, multiple year contract deals.
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
Wow.
When
you're making this kind of money, what type of tax bills do you have to pay? Because you're an independent contractor, and I'm just getting my taxes finished up for the year, so I know that I have to pay the government now. I assume you were writing some pretty crazy checks to Uncle Sam.
It was nuts. I mean, I pay quarterly, I pay monthly, and I paid the year end. I remember writing a check for like 170 something one year.
Oh my God!
At the end,
holy
and that was
shit.
after paying monthly and quarterly.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, this is crazy. But hey, when you're making it, it feels kind of good writing that check.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, in a way, I still can't imagine what that would feel like necessarily.
For some politician to go get strippers.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
So at that time, did you have? Obviously, you have some kind of accountant, helping you out with that.
Yep.
Tell me what that relationship was like, or who you had on your team to help you with those decisions, so that you were ready for those checks that you had to write or whatever.
Well, I got an accountant. I'm still with him now, and in fact, he actually just started doing triathlons, so I trained with him a little bit more.
Oh, cool.
We're actually better friends now than when I was just a client. You know. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, he would do everything for me. But then again, you got to be smart too. You got to keep your head in the game too. I mean, you can't. I trust him. He's a great guy, thank God. But he easily could have been robbing me blind for sure.
Yeah. So you've got an accountant that you've been working with. What about other kind of legal people like lawyers or managers or anything like that?
I never got into lawyers or never needed, Manager though, Steve Aston at the Wasserman.
Yeah. When did you start working with the manager? So just to fill in anybody listening, so you were within the Wasserman Media Group, which is kind of an athlete management company, for a lot of years. When did you start using them to help you secure deals, and what was that relationship like?
I started working with Steve when he was just considered the family. That was like 1999 or began 2000.
Mm-hmm. And over the years, before that, you were securing endorsements and stuff on your own. How did that help you out after you turned it over to somebody else?
Oh, man, there's no way to get an equivalent deal on your own. I mean, he could go in there and, promise and talk and do things that you just can't do for yourself. Yeah. So, it was pretty amazing. It definitely got, raised the limit quite a bit.
Yeah.
Awesome. But then again, sometimes you kind of, when you start working with managers and they work with the companies you deal with, now you start to falter the relationships a little bit because now it's all based on contract and money and managers. So you're not going to get the same relationship.
Yeah. Interesting. Was the management involved in your video game deals that you had over the years?
Steve did do that one, but it was definitely it wasn't a great deal. It was not a Tony Hawk deal, that's for sure. It was It was like a 3-year deal for $100,000, and they could have made 2 videos. I mean, I didn't make shit on that thing,
wow.
But at the end of the day, it was cool for the exposure.
Was that a calculated thing of taking a smaller deal in a video game, knowing that maybe the exposure of the video game would help you get other endorsement deals that were bigger?
I'm not so sure it was calculated like that. I don't know. I definitely don't think there was it could have been better, for sure.
Yeah, gotcha.
But the exposure was great. People still ask for it. Man, you can do another game. I mean, it's crazy that my name is still probably on the map in the video game.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty nuts.
So another business topic is the Mirra Bike Company. How much did you have in the involvement of creating that company, and do you still have any equity in it? How's that broken up?
I didn't really have a lot other than my name. Jim Ford left Haro, I left Haro, and we started our own brand. Mm-hmm. Jim was with Haro since 1978, so I clearly had my ideas, and I'm a rider. Better than somebody that rides a bike his whole life. I clearly know what's great about a bike, but in terms of business, no. Jim was the mastermind there, but they were in California, I was in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. It got to a point where I just kind of was like, I was really, really, really into everything from the get-go, and then I kind of started to just say, you know what, I'm kind of over it. Yeah. It's just, I'm not doing the day-to-day operations, so you tell somebody you want something a certain way, and they're not doing it, and they kind of, they got their own visions, and they're there every day. So, okay, well, then I just finally said, you know what, it is what it is, and still affiliated with Mirko. We signed a licensing deal with what place is this? It's anyway.
Like a big box store of some sort?
Dynacraft. It's to take it to Walmart is a goal, and I have no problem doing that. Honestly, with me doing that now, I think it makes perfect sense. I'm not endemic.
Yeah.
I actually probably didn't even feel. I wish we would have done that 8 years ago, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think I really ever had a place in endemic. It's a point in my career where, I don't think people dig that. They don't dig the guy making, $400,000 monster money deals in endemic. It just, it got hardcore. You saw the change in it.
Oh, yeah. Dude, it's almost like you outgrew BMX altogether. I mean, your status, your paychecks, your mindset was just bigger than any single person in the industry. And it was like you were on your own playing field. Like, you weren't a part of BMX anymore because you were just larger than it, which is fucking crazy. And like we were talking about, you don't have any peers at that point, And, there's going to be certain people, obviously myself included, that see that and think it's fucking awesome and really respect every part of it. But then, like you said, there's the hardcore people that, if you're not like them, if you're not on the same playing field with them or not in it for the right reasons, quote unquote, all this kind of stuff, then you're just not accepted anymore. And and to take it full circle, it's fucking crazy that like all you wanted was to be able to go ride with your idols like McCoy and those guys, and then you got so big that you just outgrew all of it, And
you got all these new school young guys coming in telling me what I'm doing it for and giving me the rundown of what I'm in it for and all this shit. They're telling me what the deal is.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. And then you got the older school guys that just never did anything, that sit there and come down and sell their brands. They make you look like you're just, it's just, you know what, I got so tired of it, I just said, you know what, I'm over it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I got no business here. I'm not gonna flip BMX because these guys, but I'm gonna go out and do some other stuff. I just got tired of it.
Yeah.
Got tired of all the opinions and just accusations and just, it's like, man, like, dude, I went through this sport when it wasn't even, it wasn't cool to ride a bike. Mm-hmm. So when I was a kid in school,
bringing that back to the Mirko thing, is that kind of why you didn't do the Walmart type deals in the beginning with Mirko, is because you still wanted to stay endemic and, try to cater to that still a little bit?
I think probably Jim wasn't really ready to entertain that yet either. And I don't think if we had a deal on the table, it might have been different, but we never really entertained it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
But what I know now, I would have loved to do it. Just, dude, I mean, why not?
Right.
What do I got to do in endemic? I mean, it's like, but I'm not going to fit in with Fit and S&M.
Yeah.
There's really no point. So, I kind of wish I would have, to be honest, and it would have just been a lot easier and just call it a day,
That's interesting. So, if you don't mind, how is the equity broken up? Obviously Jim kind of does everything. Do you have equity in the company, or are you on as a different, type of partner?
I'm 60-40, so I'm majority owner.
Okay, cool.
And Jim was the day-to-day, and I was the name behind it. So
yeah, awesome.
Kind of worked good. I mean, honestly, it was a smoking deal. I mean, Trek pretty much built that company for us, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
And where it goes, who knows? I mean, pretty psyched. I'm actually sponsored by a road bike company, Cervelo. Mm-hmm. Just did a contract with them. It's pretty sick, man.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember you posting about the fact that you bought a bike for the first time, and you just went and paid cash for the bike that you actually wanted. So and
then now I went up to Toronto and did a deal with them, and one of the perks I got, Tony, is if I qualify for Kona, this full Ironman, they'll do a custom P5, which is a TP bike, and they'll do a limited run and sell them to the public. So I got a pretty big goal. That'd be pretty sick. Just, another signature bike.
That'd be really cool, man. So we're going to start wrapping it up here. I've got a few quick hit questions for you before we go. So these are questions that I typically ask all of my guests, the same questions or similar questions.
Yep.
And I just like to get a good feel of what different people say about these same topics. So can you tell me about a time in your life when you've been at your breaking point, either mentally or physically, whether that be in a workout or, just an emotional state in your life where you're just kind of mentally or physically just completely broken down?
I would say when some of the choices of moving on from BMX fully, kind of having your heart's a little homeless. I think that you're stressing. You're going, wow, like this is what I've done my whole life. What can I do to top that?
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to give up. You're like, dude, no matter what I do, will never exceed what I've already done.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a tricky one. And but I think the main thing is finding a home for your heart when and I found it in triathlon. And I thank God for that every day. I mean, that's a lot of athletes, they say, athletes die twice. So that's a big one, man.
Yeah.
That's a big one to find something. So
sure.
I'd say probably that was a year. I would say a good 2013 was probably a real tough year.
Yeah. Interesting, man. And you know what? Again, this is not parallel by any means, but it is a little bit similar. So for me, when I left Ride BMX Magazine, it was a little bit over 3 years ago now. For the first 2 years, I still did, 95% of my work was still within BMX. And then that third year, kind of like you said, I sort of lost the passion, and I was honestly afraid to move on. Like, there was a lot of weird mental conversations going on within my head that I didn't even want to say out loud. And, maybe I would talk about it with one or two people only out loud. And it was kind of like I was almost afraid to leave behind like a quote unquote status, or like, within BMX, like a lot of people knew my name or knew who I was or knew what I did, And I was sort of afraid that if I left that, I would become a nobody again. And that was a really tough mental thing for me. And again, not at all on the same level like you, but it was this thing where I was like, fuck, am I ready to move on? Like, I think I am, but emotionally I'm not really. You know what I mean? Like as far as what I want to do with my life, like, yes, I'm ready to go on and shoot CrossFit photos or, do other kind of stuff out of BMX. But emotionally, I was like, yeah, but I kind of need this because it's my identity,
Yeah, for sure.
And
it's tricky.
Yeah, I've finally come to the place where I'm like, I'm okay with where I'm at. I'm like, all right, I've had enough time to think about this that I can step back from it and be like, okay, I'm ready, But it took a long time, man.
Yeah.
So my next quick hit question for you is, can you tell me how you decompress? Obviously, you train a lot, any kind of business stuff you have going on. Do you do anything to help your mind just relax and just chill?
I'm out in the garage right now playing around, tinkering with my bikes. That helps me a lot. Or I'll just sit down at the end of the night and have a couple glasses of wine and, kind of chill out and just think about what the plan is, what's going on tomorrow. And yeah.
Cool. Can you tell me a time when you feel like you get hit by inspiration or ideas the most?
Well, I'd say sometimes when you're further away from from what inspires you in the first place. If that makes any sense.
It totally does.
I would always laugh and say, oh man, I'm going to try 900 today. When I go ride the ramp, 900 today.
Mm-hmm.
The closer you get, the less chance you're going to do it. The further you get away, the more you just go, dude, I'm going for it. I don't care. I'll give it all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no different than triathlon. I think that, you're like, oh, I'm all pumped up at night. Like, oh, okay, good. Tomorrow, man, I'm going to ride 3 hours. I'll throw in an extra swim. And you wake up in the morning and go, maybe I'll just stick to the schedule. Don't do anything extra.
Yeah. So my next question here is, if there was a movie made about your life, what would be the hardship or obstacle that you overcame in order to achieve your success?
First, what I want to say is yourself. The war inside your head all the time. But I think to be the best at something, you're going to have that. I think that if you didn't have a war inside your head, questioning yourself all the time, taking roll call, making sure that everything's really going on. Maybe you're crazy, maybe you're not. Maybe opinions change your perspective. Maybe there's so many things, but I think to be the best at anything, you're going to have a war inside your head. I think that would probably be yourself, myself.
Cool, interesting. And my last question for you, and you've actually already given a few pretty good quotes over here. but can you leave us with a favorite quote or maybe a favorite piece of advice you've ever given, or maybe like some kind of mantra that you live by?
Sorry. My best, the couple quotes that I like is, one of them is, I'd say let me think the ultimate one right now is probably, good decisions don't make life easy. They might make life easier.
Awesome.
I like that one, or the other one that my DC one a long time ago was to be successful. To be successful, you got to be 100% committed.
Nice.
To be successful, you need to be committed 100%. Whatever way I shook that down, I don't know.
Got it. Cool. We got the gist. Awesome. And with that said, actually, that brings me back to another thing. Is I was listening to another interview with you recently, and you did say that you have a very all or nothing like personality type, which is kind of what goes along with that quote you just said of, if you're going to be successful, you have to be 100%. Do you feel like you still have that all or nothing, like super intense personality?
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And how does that manifest itself? Because I really relate to that a lot as well. And it wasn't that long ago that a friend kind of pointed it out in myself, and maybe I always knew it to an extent, but it took somebody really articulating it to myself to fully see it. And, she explained it of like Fat, when you decide to go healthy, you're like full vegan overnight. And when you decide to get in shape, like you're doing CrossFit 6 days a week. And, when you set your mind to something, you do this, this, and this. And she really kind of hammered it in. And I was like, damn, I do go all in, So how does that manifest itself in your life?
Well, I think that, I don't like to waste my time on anything really.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to, I guess it's kind of like going back to saying you like to inspire people. You like to, I'm 41 years old. People are like, dude, you run. I can't believe you run. My knees are shot, dude. I'm like, yeah, I got no PCLs. My knees are not great, but if you work on the proper technique, you'll be a runner. Mm-hmm. And I think that I like to always go against the odds. All or nothing for me is the only way to do it. Why? I think that's just been instilled in me from day one, is that if you're going to go do a race, do you want to race half-ass or you want to lift half-ass? What do you want? What's your goal? Like, what's the goal? What are you going to get out of it? I think I only feel satisfied if I give everything I got. I did a half Ironman last year, 2 weeks before Race Across America, and I got done with the race. 15 minutes later, I'm like, dude, I'm not even that sore. So what I do, I signed up for another half Ironman the very next weekend. Wow! And I did the swim and bike. I ran a mile and a half out, mile and a half back. Didn't do the full run because the next weekend was Race Across America. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, I better not do this. I better not do two half Ironmans back to back and then Race Across America. Yeah. That's a pretty big week. Yes. That's a pretty big month, I should say.
Absolutely.
But it's putting it on the line. I don't know. I think I like that. It's almost like a gambler that you can lose. Mm-hmm. I like the chance of losing. I like the feeling of what it is when you know you can lose, but if you give it your best shot, you could probably win.
Yeah.
And that's just within yourself. Not really winning anything in triathlon, but you know what I'm saying? Like
right.
Just that whole,
that personal mental game for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Dave, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been absolutely amazing, and I know the listeners are going to be super pumped on this. Before we go, you want to go ahead and plug your social networks or anywhere else that people can go to find out more about you or connect with you online?
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm all over Instagram, so check out my posts, and hopefully I can inspire you as well.
Awesome. And that's all just at Dave Mirra, correct? Just your name?
Yes, yep.
Cool. Well, I will put that on the website and the show notes and stuff. Dude, thanks so much, man. This was really awesome. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Awesome, man. Good luck with everything, and keep in touch for sure.
Take care, and good luck with the training and all your travels and stuff.
Yeah, you too, brother. Thanks.
See ya. Big thanks again to Dave for hanging out with me today. It was really an honor to have him on the show. And if you guys want to follow me online, you can check out any of my social networks at Fat Tony BMX. Also, you can go check out the show's website at theexpansionprojectpodcast.com. While you're there, please click on the Amazon banner that's on the right-hand side of the page. Bookmark that banner and do all your shopping from there. It's not going to cost you anything extra, but it's going to help me keep the show rolling. Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, and while you're there, give it a 5-star rating and leave a review. The first 10 people that leave a review, I'll give you a shout-out and read those reviews here on the show. Also, feel free to leave me some feedback. I don't care if you email me, post it on my Instagram, send me a tweet, whatever you want to do. Let me know what you guys like about the show, what you don't like about the show, what you want to see differently, maybe who you want to see interviewed in the future. Any feedback I can get from you guys is just going to help make the show better. If you like what you hear, please tell a friend and help spread the word. On the last episode, I sat down with Mike Spinner, who is a former professional BMX rider and now runs a company called EVL Nutrition. It's a nutrition and supplement company in the bodybuilding world. Mike, why should they listen to your interview?
And we went from BMX all the way to how I started the business, and I think we talked a lot about, in a lot of ways, of how to run a business and how to run a company and how to make that transition and not do stupid shit.
Cool. So yeah, check that episode out. Of course, you can subscribe to the podcast at iTunes or on Stitcher, just from searching The Expansion Project. Thanks, and I'll catch you next week.